What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Guess what? This rig is on tires. Super pumped. Got everything bolted up. Got a little bit of work to do. Actually, we got quite a bit of work to wrap up still, but it's sitting on its own weight. The suspension is underneath it. We've got the coils in place. There's no shocks on it yet, and these nice blue stripes of tape on it are exactly where it needs to be cut. So, gonna do a couple of things after looking at it, and really the reason we got the tires on it before and are still gonna pull them off is because I want to make sure that everything lines up properly. And realistically, what I'm gonna need to do is move the rear axle back a little bit. We're going to move the front axle forward a little bit, and all that it's going to take to do that is just actually twisting out the heims a little bit. They're pretty much all the way in right now, so you know, I don't want to unthread them too far, but if you kind of see where we're going to trim the fender versus where the tire sits in general, it'd be nice just to move them back a little bit. And same thing up front. I can actually go a little deeper on this fender. I try to keep it kind of symmetrical in the front, but with turning obviously up front, we do want to move it forward. So as you can see, there's really like no threads sticking out right now, which means the heims are all the way in. We just want to be able to move those out a little bit farther, and just kind of give it, I mean, even just an inch in the front, an inch in the back. That'll kind of help to space it out a little bit. And then we have quite a bit of trimming to do. We got to trim that tub out in the back where the spare wheel was. We got to trim out all the fenders. We're going to get rid of all of this under here on both sides. Same thing here. I need to drill out the front knuckles where you see all the front knuckles. You gotta drill out the knuckles where the tie rod connects here. It's kind of hard to see right now because it's not focusing. Need to drill out the knuckles to 3/4. We got a bigger steering set going in there from Artec, their crossover steering system. Got to drill out the pitman arm as well. There's a drop pitman arm that we have from Rough Country, but that's going to get drilled out to 3/4 inch, and we're going to use that as well. Panhard bar, that needs to get done. I'm going to sleeve that and shorten it, and the reason for that is, again, it was a panhard that would work specifically for the Dana 30 front from the factory location, and with the Artec truss on there, it's a little bit different. It is going to go to the factory frame mount, but on the axle side, it's going to go to the new Artec truss. So we got to fix that a little bit. Also, the width of the Artec truss is factory for a TJ, and the width up front on the frame is factory too. So I looked at just getting some heim joints and building my own tube and just using a solid piece of tube and cutting it to length, but it's really hard to find that combo for that panhard. So we're going to do this for now, and hopefully that works, and I think that it will. I'm also not sure. I would like to have sway bars front and rear. I don't think that the factory one is going to work anymore. It's definitely, we don't have anyone in the back because it's not going to work at all in the back. In the back from the factory, the sway bar is mounted to the axle, and then the sway bar links go up to the frame, and in the front it's mounted to the frame and go to the axle. So we could still reuse the front, but the way that the geometry lines up, I'm just not sure that it's going to work properly. We are going to be trailering this, I think, at this point, instead of flat towing it behind the RV, so not as big of a deal. Like I said, we got a trip planned like down to Moab and some other places. We'll be using it around town. As far as that goes, having the sway bar in, it's not necessary. It's nice to have, and I'd kind of prefer it, but I think we might need to go kind of the anti-rock, the rock jock route. That's probably what we're going to have to do. So, which they're nice setups. They're just a little pricey. So we'll see what I can come up with, but I don't think we're going to do that right now. So today, what we're going to focus on, get these wheels and tires back off. I do have some wheel spacers for them. We're going to push these out a little bit more. They're at 82 inches wide right now from outside to outside. I'm actually going to push them a little farther than that. I want a little bit wider stance on this, primarily because it did go 6.5 inches high. I'd like it to have a little bit more width on it. And while the 1-tons are wide and there's a good offset on these wheels, looking for just a little bit more. So I'll share that with you. We should have the spacers here today. We got to do brake lines at some point, but like I said, today, wheels off, trim the fenders, move out these links a little bit more, and we need to measure for drive shafts. When we get that off, we're gonna order those from Adam's Drive Shaft. So I'm gonna get those measured out and get to work. So appreciate you watching. Hope you guys are having a great day. Let's make some things happen. Alright, what's up guys? So, it took me a while to get all these fenders cut out. The back ones are a particular pain in the neck because you got to get through double walls and all of the fireproof material that's in there. And then the fronts, just a little bit more trimming. There's really a lot of stuff to come off from the sides of where the bumper was, underneath where the headlights are, things like that, to make way for the new bumper and the new transmission cross member. So this is what the front looks like now. It is very cleaned up. And the side fenders here, front fenders, side fenders, whatever. So we cut away, see a lot of this that was in here. I may take some of this out at some point, but I don't really find it to be necessary right now. All of this is chopped off, so we just have the frame rails really remaining. Same thing over here, frame rail, or this side of the frame rail is chopped out. There was a big box that was in here. This is all cut out, so looks really nice. It's clean. I like how it turned out. You know, honestly, I really like using my cutting wheel, the air-powered one, but it runs out of air so fast that it just takes forever. So I didn't use it. I used the 4.5-inch grinding wheel, which was great for the front. It is a little bit harder on the back because some of this tighter turn, let's see if I can get the sun a little bit here. Some of this in here is a little bit harder to do with such a wide wheel, because as you go up it wants to catch and keep kind of creating bigger marks, and you got to get through this double wall that's in here to get through it all the way. So it came out really clean, I think. You know, if I ever need to touch it up in the future, I can kind of grind out a little bit more. I've seen different stuff where it kind of goes up and then it juts up to the body line and it's kind of squared off and down. I tried to make it as consistent with like a wheel well as I could. Got rid of a little bit of this corner back here, so I think it turned out pretty good. I think the other side's pretty close. I kind of measured it out, so they were really similar. I mean, I'd like them to be as identical as possible. I think I maybe went a little deeper, kind of right through here, but not much. So really similar arc. And I think the front ones turned out great. Got rid of a lot of material, a lot less for tires to rub on, and we really clearanced that way out. Also kind of took out, there's a little piece in here that sits right here that kind of comes down and out, and we got rid of that too, so there's no edge there. That corner's gone. Yeah, I think it looks really good. Excited to keep cruising. So the next step is, made some templates. These are going to be shock tabs. Let me kind of show you There's my lovely cardboard design. And I've marked this shock off. It's zip tied to 5.5 inches. We'll see how well this works, or excuse me, 5.25 inches I think is about where it's at. So this is where the shock tabs are going to go, one on each side. Obviously, it's hard to do this with the camera and the shock tabs. So we will see. I'm going to get those cut out, get that stuff in next. Making progress, getting closer. Did order drive shafts today. I've got my lengths that I needed, so a little bit of mismatch too on some of this stuff. The Dana 60 front's a 1350 yoke, the rear's a 1410, both transfer cases are 1310, so there's some interchanging, but I don't have the time to swap all that stuff out right now. I got a spare 1410 strap style yoke for the rear. Doesn't really matter too much. It just is what it is right now. Those are things that we can look at later down the road, and for right now, that's how we're gonna run it. So again, this is like the family daily driver, family rig. We're gonna take it with us camping and stuff. This is the one that we're gonna beat on relentlessly. So having, you know, the same things all the way through on this, that's already done, and those are the big boys on that stuff. So should be good to go. And this is built to wheel and not break and have fun with the family in. So I think it's good first steps or next steps, whatever. We're way beyond first steps at this point. We've committed to cutting out the fenders. We've got everything else going on. Axles are in. It's looking good. So that was a lot of work today. I didn't film it all. I filmed the first fender, I think, the first front fender. It's a lot of cutting. It's a lot of stuff flying everywhere. It's a lot of grind discs. I think I went through like 20 of them. Not that many, that might be a little exaggerative, but got a lot of it knocked out. Fenders are done, ready to move on to the next stuff. We're going to do the shock mounts here. We're going to get the front shocks mounted. All of that stuff's already in place there. That's pretty much it for right now. We've got the rear tub to cut out for the fuel cell, or gas tank, and we're going to mount that in a place. Kind of need to look at the evap system and how that box is going to fit above the tank, and then have enough space there to still allow clearance. So need to do a little bit of measurement there. Took out the front, I think it's called the header board, whatever, the piece that goes up front here, the piece that runs across and holds the headlights. I have one, but it's busted out because I hit a deer with it, and it was all busted. So I just pulled out the brand new one, and of course the box looked great, but inside the plastic bag were all 4 of the tabs broken off, and it's the only 4 tabs that hold the entire thing in place. So I'm going to swap that out with the manufacturer. I need to get it. I've already got a new one on the way. The front end needs to come together. I really need to get the headlights mounted and the grill in place and everything, so we can get the bumper mocked up, but I do need to weld that still. So it's kind of next steps. Get these shock tabs done, get the shocks all mounted all the way around, get the bumper welded. Like I said, drive shafts are on the way, so a bunch of stuff coming up, but we're kind of like trying to get towards the end of this and get the gas tank back in and get that all reconnected, and this front end rebuilt, get the radiator back in, and I kind of feel like we're kind of on the home stretch now. It's almost to like the reassembly phase. A lot of the custom work's done, right? The axle trusses have all been welded, all the links are in. Time to get the front bumper welded, and just keep moving on to wrapping this thing up. So I'm gonna call it a day for right now. Appreciate you hanging out. Comment down below, let me know your thoughts, let me know what you're building, add something to the chat. Always appreciate that, and don't forget to hit that like button, helps us out too. So if you like what you're watching, I'd appreciate it. Subscribe if you're into seeing more, because there's a lot more going on, and we'll have a lot more soon. So that's it. Thanks for watching. We will see you next time. Have a wonderful day.